Welcome back, one and all, to the AOR Pro Mazda Championship. It's Season 3, and we're at Laguna Seca for the penultimate round of the season. My name is Justin, and joining me once again, it's Fizzy.
Yes, hello Justin. Happy to be back in the commentary box with you once again for this penultimate race of the season at Laguna Seca, the circuit where it all started around 8 months ago, the start of Season 1 for this league, and we're back here again, so it'll be interesting to see how a mix of old and new drivers perform here today.
Yep, last time out it was Takinen who took pole position at Donington, but he ultimately fell out of the podium positions, while Kerry Nolden went on to win the race narrowly ahead of Justin Brunner, who took second position. Takinen's teammate Puheka took the final podium position, while the championship leader Jamie Fluke was absent from Donington and lost his comfortable championship lead, putting Justin Brunner in a great position to defend his title with just 4 points between them now. Enough about last race though, let's get this week's racing going, starting with the qualifying report.
Hello and welcome to the track at Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca, with no qualifying comparison this time around, because this lap from Justin Brunner deserves to be shown on the big screen with no lap next to it, as it was quite simply in a class of its own. So let's see how Brunner got on here for his pole position lap at Laguna Seca, braking late and hard for the Andretti hairpin, spending as little time through the corner as possible, taking the two apexes nicely, before bumping down towards turn 3, trying to keep the car as stable as possible and to take a very smooth line. In third gear, making sure not to understeer off the track, and then fourth gear for turn 4, which is a high-speed corner but one that requires quite a big lift off the throttle as the speed builds back up, coming towards the cambered turn 5. I've seen it taken in both third and fourth gear, but Brunner staying in fourth and carrying an absolutely beautiful line through there, and then through a very high speed and dangerous left-hand kink where you gotta be so careful to not hit that huge sausage curb on the inside, as that can really throw your car up in the air and into the wall if you're not so careful, and then going through the almighty corkscrew, the most iconic corner on this whole track, providing such a unique challenge for the drivers, both to keep the car angled right in the braking zone and not least to keep the car stable as you fall down the drop. And then coming through the final few corners of the lap, 2 high-speed corners here, Brunner again using absolutely all of the road to carry maximum speed through them and down into the final corner, taking a slightly late apex to get on the throttle nicely for a good run, carrying the momentum onto the main straight towards the finish line to complete a super smooth lap that allowed Justin Brunner to take a majestic pole position on the league's return to Laguna Seca.
So it's the Season 2 champion Justin Brunner that takes pole position for the penultimate round here at Laguna Seca. Season 1 champion Kerry Nolden right behind him, making it an all-championship front row for round 11. Jean-Francois Godin starts in third position, another great qualifying for him, with Kerry's teammate Phil Reed just behind him in fourth position. Kristen Takash starts from fifth, with both of the Carbon Racing cars just behind him, Patrick White leading Harley Lewis. Michael Mittner once again showing some strong performance towards the tail end of this season, starting from 8th, while Takinen and Prado round out the top 10. Daniel Berenson starts today's race from 11th position, just over 1 second away from pole position. Leanne Robinson starts in 12th, followed by Bruno Dometer and Puheka from Glacier Racing, starting way down in 14th position and a bit out of position as well. Martinson is in 15th. He's followed by the second Willows Grand Prix car of Rene Osterkamp. Marco Bendow is the leading Bendow brother today, starting from 17th with his brother in 20th. In between them is Christoph Leister and Alexander Van Rompuy for ACR. Neil Lucan starts the race from 21st position. Just behind him, it is the Team Tortoise car of Frederick Johansson. Stefan Schlacker starts in 23rd, splitting the two Team Tortoise cars with Evan Nimray right behind him. The Conducci guys qualifying very close to each other once again, with Saltellamacchia leading Plumley. Dak O'Neill becomes the last and slowest person to set a lap time, while Chris Robinson and Steve Kagerer both failed to set a qualifying time, so they will start from the tail end of the grid. That's how these guys will line up. Now let's head to the grid for today's race. Welcome to the grid here at Laguna Seca in California, where championship leader Jamie Fluke is unfortunately absent from the field of 29 competitors. Hugo Prado will be starting from inside the top 10 though, which I'm sure he'll be happy about. Patrick White in 6th position, just ahead of his teammate Harley Lewis. So those two starting right next to each other. Jean-Francois Godin in 3rd position, another great qualifying for Jean-Francois. And there's your front row right there. Justin Brunner, Season 2 champion, trying to defend his championship with Kerry Nolden right behind him as we prepare now for the beginning of this race. We're back at Laguna Seca. It's where it all started. As Fizzy said in the beginning of the video, it's very exciting to be back here. Justin Brunner on pole position. It looks like a great start for him. Not so much for Kerry Nolden, already coming under attack. Jean-Francois Godin moving up the inside. I believe that is Kerry Nolden's teammate around his outside. Yes, as they head into the Andretti hairpin, and it looks like he has dropped down into 4th position. And now Phil Reed and Godin going side by side. It looks like Godin a little bit better coming out ahead of that first corner. Leanne Robinson with a little bit of a spin at the exit of the Andretti hairpin. I'm sure a very difficult corner to navigate on these cold tires. And actually Godin ends up dropping down into 3rd. We kind of missed that off camera with what was going on with Leanne Robinson. So unfortunately for Godin, he is back in his starting position, and the AOR blue cars are in different order around him. Now he's got Reed ahead of him and Nolden behind him. But it looks like a relatively clean start here, Fizzy, on lap number 1. We just had the one spin so far that we've seen anyway.
Yeah, no contact visually, at least. Clean start, and as you said, Leanne Robinson, unfortunate to him, dropping pretty much to the back after that spin on turn 1, or turn 2 as it officially is. Kerry Nolden now having a little bit of a look on Godin. I mean, it was a great start for Phil Reed, to be honest, getting 2 positions right at the start there, and obviously a good start for Brunner as well, who really just needs to have a nice clean race up at the front to really, well, almost, he could practically secure the championship here with Fluke being absent. I mean, he's 4 points behind going into the race, and well, it could look absolutely great for him when the race is done. Especially if he stays out in front, he could be potentially 26 points clear if he keeps the win here. So, well, it's looking good for Justin Brunner, and it remains to be seen then if Phil Reed and the other chasing pack can keep up with him here, because his pace from qualifying was certainly quite amazing.
Actually, he could be 29 points ahead. He's already got the bonus point for pole position.
That's a
if he
good point.
Has a zero-incident race and also picks up the fastest lap of the race, then potentially, yeah, that could really secure his championship position with Jamie being absent, which is very unfortunate. I guess Jamie had some conflicts that unfortunately prevented him from taking part in today's penultimate round at Laguna Seca. He's already missed 2 other races or failed to score in 2 other races. So, as we've got a car going off in the background there, that looks like Puheka has made contact with the barrier there. He's trying to rejoin the circuit and wisely comes to a stop. He's right there at the edge of the circuit, though. If anybody goes wide through that series of corners, that could be pretty exciting for all involved. And it looks like his teammate actually is doing pretty well. The sort of 3rd Glacier teammate, who's not really a Glacier teammate, Timo Valkjärvi, unfortunately not representing in this race. And it's unfortunate to see. I always like seeing Timo in the races, but it looks like Patrick White all over the back of Takinen right now as we're coming to the end of lap number 2 for these guys to start lap number 3. And up at the front, it looks very comfortable for Justin Brunner at the moment, you have to say. Phil Reed looking pretty strong as he's starting to pull away from Godin, but Kerry Nolden really pressuring Jean-Francois Godin right now. It's really looking like that's the battle to watch, and in fact, it is the battle we're watching right now.
Yeah, it is, and he's really getting right onto the back of him now. He's really putting the pressure on. He did qualifying second, of course, so he, potentially has the second best pace. Oh, it's already making a move around the outside at turn 5, I believe. That was a great move. It just looked like he braked a lot later than Godin, going into the corner. Godin maybe a little bit careful there as well, and there's a big gap starting to form ahead of Patrick White, who got himself ahead of Takinen, actually, and Takinen now under pressure from Berenson as well, going into this turn 6 kink, which is such a difficult corner because you got that big sausage curve on the inside that you really have to avoid, otherwise that is an almost certain spin if you hit it. But Takinen holding on from Berenson at least, but he's running lower than we usually see him, to be fair. He's Johnny Takinen in 10th place at the moment. We normally see him up closer to the podium positions, but so he's not really having his best race here so far, but unlike his teammate at least, he's still staying on the circuit in near his starting position anyway, as we got side-by-side action then. Stefan Bendo, I believe, going up the inside of Leanne Robinson has contact with Neil Lukens. The man who was with you in the commentary box last week has not made it to, he's not certainly not making any friends with Stefan Bendo there, who seems to have a pretty damaged car after that. He went spinning right towards the back of the field now, and potentially some severe damage for him. Neil Lukens still going though, but he's been put under pressure by a huge pack of cars with both of the Team Tortoise cars, one of the Kinduchis and one of the Minardans as well. So Neil Lukens really in the wars there at the end of lap 3.
That's a lot of Brits as well, as we can see the battle for 15th with 4 Brits. Saltalamacchia leading this group as it stands right now. Lucan's actually with a better exit out of turn 4 there is going to try and go around the outside at turn 5. Pretty much the same exact move that Kerry Nolden was able to pull off. Not able to pull it off, though, still side by side as they head towards turn 6. As you mentioned, a very difficult corner, especially on the inside because of that sausage curve. And it does look... Oh, Saltalamacchia, though, with a big spin. And
so his teammate as well there.
Was that his teammate? I thought I saw purple. So both of the Kptk racing cars having that spin at turn 6. That's very unfortunate for them.
And it was as well. With Kerry Nolan, well, seemingly being let pass by Phil Reed there, his teammate. So some team orders potentially going on. As I mean, I guess maybe Phil Reed feels that Kerry has a better chance at closing that gap to Brunner, maybe.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, they were separated by about 0.3 of a second in qualifying. Kerry Nolden putting in a 119.6 in qualifying. Phil Reed only able to do a 119.9. So certainly that could be the difference. And of course, you know, Phil Reed wants to protect himself from behind as well. So if he can use his teammate's slipstream to pull him away from other cars, that'll certainly be beneficial. Go ahead, talk us through this lap 1 replay, though.
Yeah, we obviously saw Kerry getting a bad start, but there was, I think, Patrick White as well also getting a bad start. And very much bunching up in the midfield with Robinson, forced to take a wide line there and got very close to the gravel and got spun around as a result of that. Mittner making a move on Holly Lewis there, I believe, and Hecka as well on Patrick White. So some really close racing in the first few corners, but no contact, although there was near contact there, and Sakinen forced to take a wide line. I guess he kind of got a little bit scared from Pretzel being on his inside that corner and dropped further position. I guess that's why he ended up down in 10th in the end. So here we see beautiful launch from Phil Reed, a lot better than all of the 3 cars ahead of him. Although it did end up at the outside line, not really the ideal line going into this corner. Although it is a quite long corner, so you can kind of get away with carrying quite a bit of speed around the outside, and Phil Reed does a good job hanging on the outside, a good in, and then got the inside for the next corner. He had the onboard from Leanne Robinson. He also got a very good launch, to be honest, as did Michael Mittner. You can see 2 cars ahead of him. It seems like pretty much everyone in the outside line got a great launch, and the guys on the inside were struggling. I don't think there was any great difference there, but yeah, you can see Robinson just braking a little bit later, trying to make a move around the outside of several cars there, and a little bit too optimistic maybe, and obviously unfortunate. Preto then went up the inside of Sakinen, and then they went side by side down towards turn 4. Sakinen with a little bit of oversteer while under pressure, and that just forced him onto the gravel. Let his teammates among other cars through as well. So as we have an incident on lap 1, and as Dometer, who hasn't got off the line, well, he almost flew up into the air, and there's another car collected there as well.
Schlocker, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And here there might have been some contact there, and whoever that was just threw him up into the air, and Schlager as well hitting the wall trying to get around him. There's Martin's view just behind. And yeah, that is
a little tap.
That is suspension damage right there.
Oh yeah, you can see it in the wheel. Yeah, wow, holy cow, man! Sometimes it really feels like the front suspension on these Star Mazdas is just made of paper. I mean, that was such a tiny tap, and you can see just what the effect that it's having on him. And of course, one of the Bendow brothers there. I'm not sure which one that was, but one of the Bendow brothers is well heavily affected.
I think that was Marco, and then Van Rompuy as well affected. You could see him slow down, so potentially suspension damage for him as well, just like with Martinson and Schlager. Schlager just could not avoid the wall as he tried to get around, and that's obviously very unfortunate, a little bit ironic, because the Dominger was taken out by a similar accident at Road Atlanta, we remember, and this time he is the one that kind of caused it. So very unfortunate for him, and well, of course, I think 4 drivers who got caught up in it: Martinson, Van Rompuy, Marco Benzo, and Schlager. As we see Buhaka spin, we did touch the wall there, as potentially damage for him as well on the rear left there, and obviously dropping way back from waiting for the cars to rejoin. Well, yeah, and then. Yeah, beautiful move from Kerry Nolan around the outside, just carrying so much more speed and good in. Here's the incident that we saw with Stefan Benno and Neil Lukens into the final corner. Lukens carrying so much more speed because Stefan had to take a tight line with Robinson on his outside. Or was that Oscar? I think it was Robinson, but yeah, I mean, you have to say it's probably Lukens' fault. He should have taking it a little bit more carefully there. Yeah, just throwing his car in there, even though the cars ahead were side by side. And I think he knows that himself. That yeah, it wasn't the best move for him.
Yep, yeah, I would. I think I would have to agree with that. Certainly not Neil at his best. And there is the twin spinoff. That is incredible to see. That's really not something you see every day. As we're on board with Plumley, he was riding just behind it. He touched that sausage curve, that exact sausage curve at the inside of turn 6 that you were talking about not too long ago. And that can really throw you off and really mess you up, as we've seen evidence of right there. So no surprise there, to be perfectly honest, after making that heavy contact with the sausage curve there. So we're on lap number 10 now. Battle for 8th. Patrick White trying to move back up through the field. It was not a great start for Patrick White whatsoever. It really wasn't a great start for the Glacier cars either. The first few laps for both Glacier cars, both Takinen and Puheka, really struggling quite a bit there, I would have to say. Also, Kerry Nolden still with quite a gap ahead to Justin Brunner. Justin Brunner did take pole position at this race by 3/10. I was mentioning Kerry Nolden 3/10 quicker than Phil Reed, but also Justin Brunner 3/10 quicker than Kerry Nolden. So Nolden, I think, doing well just to maintain the gap that he's maintaining at this stage. He's pulling away a little bit from Godin, so not the most thrilling race going on between the top 3 as it stands right now. I believe Christian Takacs actually still running in a very high position. I think even in the top 5. He started in the top 5. He started in 5th position. So a great showing from Christian Takacs today in just his 2nd race, I believe, ever. And started ahead of the Carbon Racing guys and doing great. Michael Mittner, as you mentioned, had a fantastic start. Yeah, he is. Christian Takacs is in 5th. Michael Mittner right behind him, who started in 8th position, got a fantastic start, as you mentioned. Michael Mittner really has been one of my favorite drivers towards the tail end of this season. Really, ever since he picked up that win at Brands Hatch, he seems to have really come alive in this championship and really putting up some fantastic racing and just doing a wonderful job. And it's been a real pleasure to watch him improve towards the tail end of the season.
Absolutely, yeah, and obviously we can see those two drivers very close together now and almost in the battle. And just have to mention, actually, because you said Takacs, and he's actually informed me that his name is pronounced Takash or something similar like that. So obviously he's Norwegian like myself, but it's not a Norwegian, it's not a typical Norwegian surname. So that's why I haven't really picked up on him myself. I think he said it's of Hungarian descent. I mean, his name or something like that. So yeah, just have to try to keep that in mind for the future.
I appreciate it.
Which will be,
if he's going to keep running in the top 5, I'd like to know how to say the guy's name right.
Exactly, yeah. So Takash. Good to know. And he's obviously holding on very well to that 5th place at the moment ahead of Mittner. As we see Phil Reed, he nearly got on that sausage curb and he's straight in the ground. Here comes Godin. Is he going to go past him? It sure looks like he is. Up towards the corkscrew, and Godin is into the podium position, and Phil Reed has dropped right off of his teammate, as you mentioned before, and I guess just not able to keep up the pace or consistency, well, compared to the top 2 anyway. Nolden and Brunner really seem to be kind of in a class of their own in this first quarter of the race so far, running at a really solid pace without really making any mistakes, obviously, apart from Kerry's slow start of the line. And Godin and Reed actually much closer to Cash and Mittner now compared to the top 2, as we have an incident. Lap 5! Oh, that is Saltalamacchia spinning, going into the corkscrew. Zach O'Neill, well, he did hit into the side of him, couldn't really get out of the way there, I think. Here we can see Saltalamacchia just potentially braking a little bit too hard and while turning into the corner, and obviously a very tricky braking zone this, and not much Dak O'Neill could really have done to get away from that, and that's potentially some damage for him as well. Oh yeah, that's definitely pulling to the right there, the car. So, he's certainly going to have to go into the pits for a bit of repairs, I'd imagine.
Yeah, that is very important. Oh, and Evan Imre, instead of at the entrance, he had his spin at the exit of the corkscrew, which is, of course, a very difficult corner. I mean, as you were saying, very, very tricky braking zone, very difficult to get on the power coming out of the corner as well. Just everything about it, it's a very, very challenging corner, so I can't say that I'm all too surprised to be seeing some incidents going on there. It can be deceptive as well for spectators who maybe haven't driven this circuit within iRacing or indeed within any sort of sim or anything like that. But yeah, these guys showing exactly how difficult that corkscrew can be.
Absolutely, yeah. I was having a drink of water there, but yeah, corkscrew. That's one of the most challenging corners. Oh, as we got actually moved, that was that Holly Lewis actually making a move on Mittner? Mittner's dropped back a little bit from Takash actually, so there's a bit of a Mittner train going on with Lewis and Preto and Patrick White and Sackinen all in there, so they're in a very close battle. But yeah, I was going to mention the corkscrew, one of the most challenging corners definitely on the calendar. It's, you know, you go into the braking zone. It's the track is kind of turning while you're braking, and you know you're going down a huge drop, and it's such a tricky, tricky task to keep the car stable going through there.
You're coming over the crest of a hill as well, which can make it blind. So, for instance, there, Dak O'Neill coming up and over the hill. He wouldn't have had very much time to react to Saltalamacchia being in the middle of the track like that.
Absolutely. So, you know, yeah, it is one of the great features of this track, though. It's one of the things that makes it a really unique place to go. It's got some great corners, to be honest, and some really challenging ones. And it's a pretty tricky place to overtake, as I guess we've seen so far. There's not been too much side-by-side action going on so far, as Patrick White's getting a little bit close to Hugo Prieto there, going into the corkscrew in that braking zone that we just mentioned. And this is, well, I would say it's shaping up to be a good battle here for 6th place downwards. But as I was going to say, we haven't seen much side-by-side yet. But here goes Prieto, who went a little bit wide on the penultimate corner and put himself under pressure from Patrick White, who we know is a pretty feisty driver when he's on it, and he's going to take the opportunity now to go up the inside of Hugo Prieto coming towards, well, this is the turn 1 kink, and then coming towards the braking zone of turn 2. Patrick White on the inside, potentially a straightforward move unless Prieto can pull off some miracles and hang it around the outside, but he cannot. So Patrick White up to 8th place, just behind his teammate now, and Prieto under pressure from Sackinen as well. So let's see how that goes. Prieto hangs on just about. So Sackinen has to still stay in 10th place. It's not been too great of a race, as you mentioned, for Glacier so far, and they're obviously kind of trying to hang on to any hope of winning the team championship this year, because they're 49 points behind Team AOR Blue going into this race. So you know they kind of need Phil Reed and Kerry Nolan to have a pretty bad race to have a chance of that, but yeah, they've certainly not had much luck so far in this race to make it any easier for them.
Nope, we're approaching halfway distance, getting close there, as we're going to have a little look at Neil Lukens, whose struggles have unfortunately continued at turn 6 there, where he has also hit the sausage curb at the inside there. And yeah, it's pretty brutal. Right there you can see, actually, as we're on board with Steve Kager, as he makes contact with the barrier coming out of the final corner, which is, of course, the worst place to possibly crash on this circuit, because then you've got to go all the way around and come back into the pits. But I was going to ask you about the pit window here, which might actually be open at this stage as we begin lap number 18 of 44. What's this track like for fuel consumption? When are we going to see people pitting? Pretty soon?
I think pretty soon. I mean, I think it's a pretty kind of medium track in terms of fuel consumption. I think it's going to be a pretty normal pit window of around 6 to 8 laps probably. So I'd reckon in a 3-4 laps time we might see some cars starting to come in, depending obviously on what they want to do with their strategy. If they want to burn out the full fuel tank on the first stint and run as long as possible, or potentially try to pit early, get out of traffic and do some undercuts, as Phil Reed. No, that's Kerry Nolan actually. He's gone off again. He's obviously tried to maintain that gap to Brunner in the early part of the race there, as he got into second, but that'll not help him at all. And I'd estimate around 3 seconds probably from first to second there, would you say?
Yeah.
So
maybe even a little bit longer.
Yeah, maybe,
for sure.
Especially after that. So.
This is, of course, one of Brunner's home races. It's not the only American track on the calendar this season, so it is one of Justin Brunner's home races, but we could theorize that he maybe has special knowledge of this circuit and is using his Murica powers to pull ahead right now. He's certainly looking very comfortable. Very different from what we saw at Mosport, where he made that mistake. I distinctly remember in commentary you mentioning that that's just not something that you see from Justin Brunner. You just don't see mistakes from him like that. And in his current position, he's not even really under pressure from Kerry Nolden. All the drivers, of course, for those that aren't familiar with iRacing, they do have a relative gap time to the cars around them, so he will know what the gap is to the car behind him. That is Kerry Nolden. And as we've got one of the Bendau brothers stopped on circuit, and it looks like Daniel Berenson with a little bit of a half spin, not even a half spin, just a little bit of oversteer mid-corner through turn 5 there, and that's going to let was that Leister through? I think it was Leister. And there's what happened with Kerry Nolden. The sausage curb strikes again. and that's unfortunate for him. I don't think he lost too much time there, but I mean, even these small mistakes are certainly not helping him catch back up to first. This was that kind of awkward overtake attempt by Takinen, and I think there was actually contact there between himself and Prado. Yeah. I think I saw some body work crumpling a little bit there, possibly, as we're looking now at Harley Lewis, the leading carbon racing car, with his teammate right behind him, running pretty close to Michael Mittner as it stands right now. And here is Takinen running just behind Hugo Prado, as they're starting lap 20 now, heading into turn 2 and the Andretti hairpin. Mario Andretti, of course, probably the greatest F1 driver of all time from America. And that is until Alex Rossi gets a seat, or Alexander Rossi, sorry, he likes to be called Alexander. But these guys, you know, this isn't something I necessarily would have predicted seeing, Takinen and Prado battling, but Prado has not had a very good turn 4 there. He's defending the inside line for turn 5. Takinen's going to have to go around the outside, and he's just about kept alongside of him. Yep, Prado's going to have to give him room there. They're going to be going side by side into turn 6 now. Prado with that potentially very dangerous inside line. Takinen runs a little bit wide there, and Prado holds on to the position. So some fantastic defending here from Hugo Prado from Takinen. But of course, they're just losing time to the cars ahead now. Look at these guys. They've really started to pull away from those two.
Yeah, I have to say though, a great move from Prado to defend there. You know, that turn 6 kink is not a place where we really go on and go side by side, as we got the first pitter of the day with, is that Patrick White has gone in, I think. Oh! I thought I saw him stop on the pit entry there. He stopped a little bit back there. It's not been a very good pit entry for him. I think Hugo Prado was right next to him as he got going again. So Patrick White has definitely lost at least a couple of seconds there. That is not what he would have wanted. Obviously, he was right behind his teammates, and quite interestingly, Patrick White actually behind Harley Lewis in the championship at the moment. You know, I kind of think of Patrick White as the lead driver in the carbon team because he's been around for the longest as a part of that team in this series. But Harley Lewis actually ahead of him in the championship at the moment, through, I'd say, slightly more consistent season in terms of finishes. As we also, I think that was Godin that we saw in the pits as well. So we had from third, as you said. So several cars in the pits at this point, and Takash right behind Reed as well. So I mean, we just have to wait and see really in terms of how this pit window pans out, I think.
Yep, and here is the replay of that pit entry that we saw. It's a very difficult pit entrance here at Laguna Seca. The only thing worse than the pit entrance at Laguna Seca is the pit exit at Laguna Seca, which is even worse. It almost looks like he stalled or had some sort of, I mean, because he didn't actually hit the barrier. So that was definitely a strange one, as we get some wonderful sliding shots from Michael Mittner. That's certainly not going to help him defend from Harley Lewis. But boy, that is beautiful for the camera. And it looks like Harley Lewis maybe even is going to take that position. I'm not sure what happened there. But yeah, that was not the best way around that corner for Michael Mittner, certainly. And this is Phil Reed? No, this is Kerry Nolden. Okay, sorry, those were lap down cars. My apologies, I got a little confused there. As he heads into the pits now, Justin Brunner continues on for another lap as we pass the halfway point of this race. He continues on for lap number 23, doing very well in his home race, looking to take the championship lead here with Jamie Fluke being absent, which would be fantastic for him to take the lead at one of his home races here at Laguna Seca. And if he can manage to win this race, then he could be in a great position. We already know Kerry Nolden will have missed out on a bonus point because of that off track that he had. Christian Takash into the pits as well for his mandatory pit stop, and Kerry Nolden is away to begin the second half of his race. Takash currently stationary. I wonder where
he's been lifted up there. That actually, it looks like he's taking tires, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
It's something you usually see. That's quite interesting, to be honest. I mean, Takash, a new driver in the league, maybe isn't really used to the pit stop procedure in terms of whether you take tires, how much fuel you want to take and stuff like that. Maybe a bit of a rookie error there, because we very rarely see established drivers in the league take on new tires at the pit stop, because you just lose so much time fitting them compared to what you'll gain back, and he's actually lost out.
Yeah, Patrick White goes flying by.
Yeah, I think so. So, well, Takash was close to Phil Reed before that, and I don't think he'll be that anymore. He'll have to... I guess he's dropped back into that battle with the Carbons and Michael Mittner potentially.
And I don't think this is a lap down car. I believe, is that Berenson that's in front of Nolden right now?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, so I don't think he's a lap down right now. I think this is technically for position. Berenson out of position only because he hasn't made his pit stop yet, I'm assuming. But so there's no blue flags situation here for Kerry Nolden. He's not going to get any sort of assistance, and thankfully Berenson does dive into the pit, so I don't think too much time was lost there for Kerry Nolden. Berenson, I think, going pretty well. So yeah, he was. I mean, of course, he wasn't in a net fourth, but he pits from fourth position there. Berenson having a very good race today. Robinson and Plumley currently battling for 16th position as they head through turn number 5, a wonderful cambered corner with some elevation change in it as well. And this was how Robinson was able to get by Plumley as they headed into turn 2 at the Andretti hairpin. Robinson with that front wing damage, and Plumley losing out on that position. Pretty straightforward move there. Pretty uneventful, but very clean sort of textbook maneuver there as our leader, Justin Brunner, and potential championship leader after this race is over, if things keep going his way. He dives into the pits at the end of lap number 24, so he's stopping 2 laps later than Kerry Nolden. Kerry Nolden also came out behind Berenson. We don't know what sort of effect that's going to have on him, if any. Takinen coming towards the end of the lap, possibly going to be diving into the pits here as well as he comes through turn number 10, another fantastic corner. I love 9 and 10, the 2 corners after the corkscrew. Fantastic sort of high-speed flowing corners coming down the hill with the great camber action. Really wonderful stuff to see. There is Justin Brunner still stationary in the pits right now, and he is off. And let's see where he comes out in relation to Kerry Nolden. We're going to get a sort of first-hand experience of how terrible the pit exit is here as we see him going down that very narrow line. He's in second position at the moment, so somebody is still out and has not made their pit stop yet. Who is that?
That is Phil Reed, actually, who's currently in the lead. At least for a lap or so. And here we can see Kerry Nolden, then. He is about the same distance, I think. Well, I'd say potentially close to 4 seconds now. So yeah, the gap is bigger than I think than it was before. So Brunner has really well made it work on his clean laps, on his clean in laps, and Nolden potentially losing a bit of time after being stuck behind Berenson for a bit there.
Phil Reed obviously pushing very hard. We could see just how hard he was pushing through the corkscrew. I mean, it takes incredible amounts of confidence to be able to hustle this car through the corkscrew in the fashion that Phil Reed just did. And when you consider the fact that he's not even winning the race and only qualified in 4th, it makes you wonder how the other guys are hustling the car through the corkscrew. The current battle for 5th position, Michael Mittner leading Harley Lewis. It's a bit of a Mittner train, as you were mentioning earlier, as Takinen running a little bit wide there, but keeping everything pointed in the right direction. One of the Team Tortoise cars is just ahead, I believe. They are a lap down, or they haven't pit yet. I'm not sure which one. Yeah. Okay. It's yep. And Takash now down into 7th position after taking fresh tires. I don't think he's, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he's going to have very, very much of a pace advantage with those fresh tires.
No, I think, I mean, a little bit, but as you said, I mean, it's not very big of a drop-off on these tires, which is also why people don't usually change them. So yeah, I don't think that's going to be very noticeable, to be honest. I think it still comes mainly down to how they just navigate the track and their racing lines, their throttle control, all the normal stuff that you have to deal with in these cars. And well, we saw, I think we saw Phil Reed, was that coming out of the pits ahead of Godin actually, so I think he's kind of jumped Godin back around there through the pit stop phase. So Phil Reed taking advantage of those clean laps on the front after getting away from Godin, because Godin obviously pitted quite early, so Reed having made that work, and I think at least they're still close together, so we might potentially see a bit of a battle for the podium position towards the end of the race. And
yeah, I sure hope so. And we're still keeping on board. This is definitely the fight to watch right now, with Mittner still leading this train. But I got to say, I do not envy Michael Mittner in this position. This is a very difficult position to be in. He's definitely going to know exactly how many cars are right behind him, as Vittorio Saltalamacchia, some more struggles for him as he runs wide, and you got to be very slow to get back onto the track there. You got to use some very, very careful movements when all 4 wheels are on the gravel like that. And what has gone on with Neil Lukens once again hitting the sausage curb. Sausage curb strikes again, and Lukens striking the barrier. Unfortunate for him. And I believe we're on board with Takash right now. Yes, we are on board with Takash right now. And we're coming towards the three-quarter point of this race, of this 44-lap race, and running very closely to Harley Lewis. And looks like there's a lap car that's going to get very nicely out of the way. Thank you so much, Dak. And Takash with a little bit of a slide there, but Lewis had even more issues going through turn number 9 there. So they're going to be going side by side heading into the final corner. Takash with the inside line. Looks like he's going to easily be able to take that position, I would imagine. But it looks like Lewis with a little bit better of an exit coming off the corner. They're still side by side as they cross the start-finish line and head towards turn 1 and then down the hill towards turn number 2. Michael Mittner pulling a little bit of a gap now. So finally, I guess that instead of commentator's curse, that was a commentator's blessing, as I was talking about Michael Mittner being under all that pressure, and that's just been alleviated pretty much all at once. Harley Lewis losing that position to Christian Takash in the end, and his teammate Patrick White is running very close to Takinen as this battle for 5th position continues to rage on. Who's in 4th right now? Because that's right, Phil Reed and Godin, they're in a battle as well, just a separate battle. Oh, as Patrick White just dives up the inside at turn number 5. Turn number 5. That is an incredible overtake attempt. Takinen looks like he was not able to carry as much speed. He tries to go around the outside, ends up in the gravel, a little bit of a slide, not too much. He was able to correct it. I believe the left side of his car was still on the black stuff, so he was able to keep everything pointed in the right direction. Thank goodness for him, because that would have been a true nightmare if he went spinning off there, because he is right in the middle of this battle, as we're going to get a replay now of that dive bomb. I mean, that really was a dive bomb. I'd say, you know, everything was fair about that, no problems, but man, really showing some very, very strong braking skills there, right at the last second, made the corner. Beautiful stuff. Let's see what it looked like from Takinen's point of view as he was trying to go around the outside at turn 6. Very difficult to do, as he demonstrates right there, running a little bit into the gravel, having to downshift as well. So some great moves there from White and Takinen as well.
Yeah, incredible racing. I mean, I mentioned it before, you don't really want to go side by side through turn 6 there, and Takinen really had to, well, he was forced to kind of go in the gravel there, to be honest, because otherwise there would have been contact. It's hard for the car on the inside there, Patrick White, to avoid understeering towards the edge of the track there. So, but at least there were no contact, and obviously Takinen a little bit annoyed probably by having to go in the gravel, but he's still running. Yeah. And well, you can see the two carbons there. I think Michael Mittner is quite happy at the moment with his position. Oh, as the carbons are changing positions now, with the Harley Lewis running wide, so he has dropped 2 positions now in the space of a couple of laps, and this time to his teammate. I was going to say that Mittner is probably quite content with this, because LM Rennsport, the team of Mittner and Leister, are obviously battling quite closely with Carbon Racing of White and Lewis in the team championship, actually. Just going to quickly check how far they are apart. They are going into this race, let's see, about 15 points apart, with Carbon having the advantage. And at the moment, as we see, that is Martinson on the side of the track, who has not been much of a feature in this race after his touch with Dometer at the start. But yeah, I think that Carbon Racing and LM Rennsport are scoring pretty much the same amount of points at the moment, with the Mittner leading White and Lewis, but obviously Leister being a bit further back. So
yeah, I think he's in 12th right now.
Yeah, so but yeah, so I mean, LM Rennsport have a bit of work to do if they want that position in the team championship. That is for 5th. There's quite a close group actually in the team championship between 5th and 9th, I believe. Just checking, 5th and 8th actually. We got Carbon Racing in 5th, Team AOR Red in 6th, and Team Players in 7th, and LM Rennsport in 8th. So all of them separated by about 15 points. Obviously AOR Red at a bit of a disadvantage, as we saw good in there. But yeah, AOR Red is at a bit of a disadvantage, because not only because they're having a bad race here today, but also because of Martinson. Well, he's not used any of his drop wheels going into this race. So I mean, he won't, even if he finishes in decent position in the last race, well, he won't get much points, as Phil Reed goes right off the track there, and Will Godin take him, Justin.
He's very close behind him. He's carried a lot more speed through turn number 9 and number 10 as well, and he just shoots up the inside. No, I'm sorry, that was Phil Reed defending at the inside line. Jean-Francois Gaudin should have carried a little bit more speed onto this start-finish straight, though. He's in the slipstream. There's not much to this left, and I don't think he's going to be able to make a move, but he's certainly a lot closer to Phil Reed than he was previously. So, is they're very, very close through the Andretti hairpin. No contact made, though. Very different. We're going to see that replay of Phil Reed as he was going side by side. He was trying to lap actually both tortoises running very close to one another, and he just runs off the circuit, defends the inside line, or I don't know if that was defending or just him trying to avoid spinning, but then he does defend the inside line into the final corner and holds on to that position just barely. Jean-Francois Gaudin very nearly getting an opportunistic podium position there. So that would have been very nice for him. He's still very much in the mix, and we're only 3/4 of the way in this race. So Gaudin still has plenty of opportunities, especially if Phil Reed's going to continue to make mistakes. And it appears Takash as well has made a mistake. I think that's Takash anyway. It's a pretty dark car, so I think that's Takash. And he's going to lose out. Yes, it is. He loses out to Patrick White. Patrick White moving back up into 6th position. So it took 33 laps, but Patrick White is back up into the position that he started this race in, as Christian Takash is 2 positions lower than when he started. He was in 5th position at the start of this race, now down into 7th. Michael Mittner, as we've both been saying, in a much more comfortable position at this stage of the race than he was previously. Takinen now actually a little bit closer to White and Takash now, so we could see a 3-way battle beginning to develop there. Having a look now at, I believe this is Robinson. No, this is Osterkamp. My apologies to the Willows Grand Prix team. Christoph Leister running right behind him. As we mentioned, Christoph Leister in 12th position, just behind 11th position, though. And this is very important, just as important as Michael Mittner is Christoph Leister. If he can grab some extra points here off of the Willows Grand Prix car of Rene Osterkamp, that would certainly be beneficial in the team's championship as well. Get them a little bit closer. As Osterkamp has run very wide at turn 2, the Andretti hairpin there, and Leister moves up into 11th position. I keep giving the commentators blessings to LM Rennsport here. they are definitely #blessed for the Laguna Seca race here today. As we're gonna get a replay, or maybe they're not blessed. Maybe just Willows Grand Prix is #unblessed, because it appears that Robinson has had a little bit of a spin there coming out of turn 4, a half spin. Went halfway around. Here is where Nolden went off the circuit. Wow, big steering correction there from him to keep it on the track. It's incredible seeing the reaction times from the drivers like that. Here's Harley Lewis pretty much doing the exact same thing, but with a much, much worse result there, as he loses a position to Takinen and lots of time as well. Speaking of Takinen, we really haven't seen much of Puheka. Where is Puheka at this stage?
I think that after his spin on lap 1, he did tap the wall slightly, so I'm pretty sure that he went in the pits for some damage repairs, so he probably lost a few laps there. Similar to quite a few other cars, actually. I think Martinson had to go in for several minutes of repairs at the start, so you had several of the other cars, obviously. Some of them retired on the spot after their incidents, but cars like obviously Robinson has been struggling. Sotomayor has DNF'd by now, I think. I think Stefan Bendo is out, Van Rompuy is out, and Slacker is out, so it's been a few struggles out there today.
No surprise at Laguna Seca. It's not a circuit that people are as familiar with, certainly not being featured on the Formula 1 calendar. I cannot imagine an F1 race taking part at this circuit. That would be insane. But it's a track I'd say people are a little bit less familiar with when you compare it to places like Monza and Silverstone and Interlagos. But as we've been saying, it's a very difficult course as well. Difficult circuit to navigate and overtake. Jean-Francois Gaudin going to try and prove that overtaking is very possible here at Laguna Seca, as Phil Reed defends the inside line heading into the Andretti corners, as they took out some of the pit exit cones there, I noticed. That's how fiercely these guys are battling, that they're just taking out cones on the side of the track. And Phil Reed lives to fight another day, as we're getting very, very close to the end of this race. As we move on board with Justin Brunner for the first time in a while, he's running up behind, is that Kagerer? Yes, I believe that is Kagerer.
It is.
Right, Kagerer's number 2? Yeah. Oh, yeah, look at that. I'm really getting there as far as
well done, man.
driver number knowledge there. And it looks like Kerry Nolden actually is closing up on Justin Brunner there. I don't know how much of that has to do with Steve Kagerer, or if Nolden's just really been on it, but I swear that gap's, I mean, it's been pretty big the whole time. It's still pretty large right now, but I swear it's maybe a second or a half a second smaller.
Yeah, just over 2 seconds there. I think I counted in my head there as they went down the straight. So Nolan has definitely closed it from when they came out of the pits after the pit stop phase. So I mean, he's certainly been pushing, or potentially Brunner has been, not pushing as much to just make sure that he gets a clean run to the end. Maybe even has his incident points intact at the moment. We don't really know that until we see the results. But but I think it's quite frustrating for Nolan, because I think he feels like he has the pace in this race, but he's had a few off tracks on that particular corner that we're seeing right now. Plumley, that's obviously from lap 4. Lovely slow-mo here. But yeah, Nolan has had some problems at that corner, and that's potentially cost him the chance at catching all the way back up to Brunner, at least so far in the race. But as you said, he's getting there. He might potentially get within slipstream range here in the final few laps, and from a spectator's point of view, you'd hope for a bit. Oh no!
Oh,
he's gonna do it again on the sausage cab. Oh,
man,
that's not gonna make it any easier now.
Nope. Once again, the sausage curb strikes again. I gotta say, the biggest influence in this race has probably been the turn 6 sausage curb at the inside of that high-speed left-hander. We're having a quick look at it. Rene Osterkamp currently running in 12th position. There's really not much to this left to this race, as we're on lap number 41 as it stands right now. Oh, and there's been a big slide for Christoph Leister heading into the Andretti hairpin. He's going to lose a position to Rene Osterkamp. I'm not sure. No, I don't think he's going to lose a position to that Kanducci car. I do believe, though. One of those AOR red cars was Martinson. I don't think he's actually on the lead lap. Berenson, though, does move through. So that is very unfortunate for Christoph Leister, who we were talking about earlier. It's very important for him to score as many points as he can for the team's championship specifically. Of course, I'm sure his personal championship rides on him scoring as many points as possible, as anyone's team's champion or driver's championship would. But it is very important here that LM Rennsport are able to cash in as many points as they can if they want to try and take 5th in the team's championship. And unfortunately, it's going to be that much harder as Leister spins right at the tail end of the race, too, which is got to be very frustrating for Leister. We're on board with Takash right now, who is kind of a spectator here of Patrick White and Michael Mittner in this battle for 5th position. Takash in 7th right now. And there is Kerry Nolden, I believe. No, that is Phil Reed, and he's run off circuit, and that's going to possibly put him under pressure from Jean-Francois Godin once again closing in. Godin, it appeared as they were coming into turn number 6 there, it seemed to me that Godin had actually lost some time to Phil Reed. We saw him get very, very close when Phil Reed had that problem at turn number 9. However, Godin appeared to be dropping off a little bit as we're starting the last lap of this race. Justin Brunner still comfortably leading as well, possibly with a 0 incident race. He started from pole position, so he's already on course for scoring 31 points here. Kerry Nolden definitely not going to be having a 0 incident race, as he's had a couple of trips into the gravel, but that has not mattered whatsoever for the Season 1 champion. The Season 2 champion as well, things have been going well for him. Neither one of them really under attack from anyone else. We're on board with Michael Mittner facing backwards right now, having a look at Patrick White and Christian Takash as they are continuing to battle. And here comes Justin Brunner, who... what win number is this for Justin Brunner for this season?
Well, this season
I feel like he hasn't...
I think it's only the second. I do believe it's only the second, actually.
So that's very interesting. Here we are, race number 11, as Justin Brunner comes through the final corner right behind Christoph Leister. So Leister is going to finish on the lead lap there, so good for him. He will be the last car to finish on the lead lap as Justin Brunner comes across the line, grabs his second win of the season, the Season 2 champion, grabbing his second win here in Season 3. It's interesting, though, after 11 races, Kerry Nolden, I believe, has only picked up 2 wins. Justin Brunner only picked up 2 wins. So between the 2 champions, we've only got 4 out of the 11 wins. So it's been certainly a very different season from what we've seen in the past as the battle for 3rd continues to rage on. But once again, Jean-Francois Godin just a little bit too far back, and Phil Reed is going to make it a double AOR blue podium. Michael Mittner coming through the final corner pretty comfortably there. Looks like he's going to finish in 5th position, just ahead of Patrick White, with Christian Takash not far behind in 7th position. So after all of that, after the insanity of Patrick White's race, he finishes exactly where he started. Takanen comes home in 8th position after starting in 9th, though, so it was a somewhat good race for him. Just overall, though, a tough race for Glacier, especially in the Teams Champions. And in fact, I think Harley Lewis decides to end his race in style. I like that. Thank you for that one, Harley. And so still got some cars out on track. I believe that is Berenson now coming through, and just ahead of Christoph Leister as they navigate the final corner for the final time. And it looks like Leister is going to finish behind Berenson, which I believe puts him in 13th position. So it still was a double points finish for LM Rennsport, but unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be enough to do very much for them in the Teams Championship, as I think Justin Brunner is preparing to attempt to do some donuts, which is not an easy task in the Star Mazda.
It certainly isn't. You don't really have a great deal of power to work with. As you can see, he's trying his best, but, you know, it's not working out too well, but you know, he's certainly happy with this race. It's been absolute domination for him. Nolden kept him honest in terms of pace, but Brunner had the consistency to win this race very, very comfortably. And well, he's not theoretically won the championship just yet, but practically he's done it, especially with Fluke's participation being kind of under threat for the final race as well. I think Brunner is looking very good at the moment.
Yep, and let's see what kind of bonus points he got. So he did not have a 0 incident race. He does pick up fastest lap with a 1:19.516, just 0.02 of a second faster than Kerry Nolden. That is incredibly close between these two guys. But he does pick up 32 points, which is certainly going to give him the championship lead, and by quite a margin. I believe 28 points it now is going to be the gap back to Jamie Fluke. As I mentioned, Nolden finishing 2.4 seconds behind Brunner, so he definitely was closing in on the gap. We don't know if Brunner was lifting off and kind of taking it easy at the end, though. Phil Reed, though, it does make it a AOR Blue double podium, so I'm sure they're going to be happy about that, which I believe means that AOR Blue is now the team champions for the Season 3. Yes. Yeah, I think so, because they only needed 10 more points than Glacier Racing in order to seal the team's championship here today, and I believe they have done that. As I mentioned, Christoph Leister finishing as the last car on the lead lap in 13th position, grabbing 8 points for LM Rennsport. So unfortunate for him, though. He definitely could have finished in 11th if not for that spin, and in the end he was less than a second behind Daniel Berenson there. We can see a number of cars, more than half the field, finishing off the lead lap. In fact, Chris Robinson, who's been incredibly consistent all season long, finishes as the first car off the lead lap. Puheka, in the end, as I mentioned, not featured too much in this race, being 4 laps down, as well as Lukens Martinson being 5 laps down. O'Neill with a difficult race. We certainly saw some of his struggles as well, being 7 laps down in the end. And there is confirmation that Justin Brunner has taken a 28-point lead ahead of Jamie Fluke, who may or may not be present for the final race of the season. That's kind of up in the air right now, so we're not sure how that's going to work out. Kerry Nolden now has 173 points, just 13 points behind Jamie Fluke. So if Jamie doesn't do very well in the final race, or if he's absent for the final race, he could even drop as far as 3rd or even 4th, potentially. It does look like the top 4 are not in any sort of danger of dropping out of the top 4, though, with Takanen only on 136 points. He does move ahead of Martinson, however, though. Martinson dropping down to 6th, Puheka dropping down to 9th. Michael Mittner and Jean-Francois Godin, who both have been performing very well, moving up some positions there. Patrick White moving up as well. He's got 88.5 points. Rene Osterkamp, those guys moving ahead of Govan Kini, who doesn't race anymore. Timo Valkyarvi, who was absent from this race at Laguna Seca, dropping some positions as well. So it's still there's still a championship going on, but man, you got to say it looks very good for the Season 2 champion Justin Brunner.
Yeah, absolutely, and obviously as tight as ever in the midfields of the table. You can see Kagri there with a -1 next to his points total there. That's obviously because the drop weeks are now starting to come into effect, with this being the penultimate race of the season. Obviously the rule is that the worst 2 results of all of these drivers' seasons will not count at the end. So obviously now we are at the penultimate race. That means the one race is being dropped at the moment, and then after the next race we're going to drop their 2nd worst result as well. So Kager actually the only person to have dropped a point as of yet, and only one.
Yep, so he's the only one that's actually scored in all 11 races, is how I'm interpreting that one.
Indeed,
so great job to Steve Kagerer, one of the few Canadians on the grid. And there is confirmation that Team AOR Blue is the AOR Pro Mazda Season 3 Teams Champions. That is fantastic for Kerry Nolden and Phil Reed, even though neither one of them is really in contention for the Drivers' Championship. As a team, as a unit, they have been pretty much unstoppable. That's an 83-point gap, and with still one race to go, so I mean they could extend that lead even further. Vortex Sim Racing does move ahead of Red Devolution, since Vortex is just Justin Brunner and Red Devolution is mainly Jamie Fluke. He now has Christian Takash along with him now, so but Vortex is still ahead. They're in 3rd position in the Teams Championship. TNT Racing with Hugo Prado, or only Hugo Prado, moves ahead of Gemini Racing Green and TDT Racing. I don't think... Oh yeah, Odometer had the bad start, and I'm not sure what happened with Mark. Mark Hoppin was involved in a lap 1 incident? I'm not remembering now.
Honestly, can't remember, but
yeah,
certainly didn't have a great race.
And that's the end of the Teams Championship. So next time, it's going to be a Roval, which I'm pretty excited about. I got to say, Fizzy, it's going to be the New Hampshire Roval. So it's part oval, part road course. You can see the start line at the bottom there, and then it heads into a banked oval corner, and then it veers off to the right-hand side into a road course. So sort of the first 2 corners are an oval. The whole rest of it's a road course. Should be pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, it's been a good day here today. Looking forward to the next one. I mean, not the most classic of races here today, with Brandon kind of running a race of his own out in front, but certainly a champion's drive for him. And I think that if and when he confirms that championship after the next race, it'll be deserved.
Yep, for sure. And his final race of the season will be here in America at the New Hampshire Speedway. Thanks everyone for watching. Thank you, Fizzy, for joining me, and we will see you next time for the season finale.